Oh, didn't see you there. Well, really got to keep rereading that one, I guess. Well, another week of The Bachelorette down the tubes. Chris Harrison took the week off. You know what? I'm going to take the week off, just kind of be more casual, super smooth. Why is Ed still here? Bennett versus Noah. It's the young versus the slightly older. Is Noah really Nick Viall in a clever disguise? Will the show survive Chris Harrison being gone? These... Oh, it's Chris Harrison. Hey, C-Money. Yeah, man. I just watched it. Absolutely. What? Yes, of course the show was not the same since you took the week off to take your son to college. Yeah, man, it just wasn't as good. JoJo? Are you kidding me? Bennett versus Noah, who would be my pick if I was the Bachelorette? I mean, does this really matter? I guess I would choose Bennett. You like Bennett too? He let you borrow his Maserati? Because it's his other car? I got to get back to the recap. Are we still on this weekend? You, me, Bennett, Maserati racing? Deal. I'll see you, C-Money. Show's just not the same without Chris. Well, I didn't have the heart to tell Chris that the show really wasn't that dramatically different without him, but let's talk about it. So Tayshia is anxiously pacing around her La Quinta villa, wondering how on earth she'll get through her difficult job as the Bachelorette. Well, luckily, knock, 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 there's a special guest at the door. Who is it? Well, it's former Bachelorette JoJo Fletcher, a person that Tayshia is super unlikely to know, but who will certainly be extremely helpful to Tayshia. So Tayshia's like, well, JoJo, you see, I just don't know what to do because I'm starting to fall for a couple of the guys. And JoJo's like, oh, yeah, I can totally tell you're falling for a couple of guys. And Tayshia's like, well, I just don't know what to do because I don't like hurting people. And JoJo's like, yeah, I understand. And it's almost as though Tayshia has exactly memorized the lines that the producers wrote for her, which will exactly foreshadow the exact things that are going to happen in this episode. But anyway, Chris is talking to the guys about how he won't be able to be the host this week, but knock, knock, knock. Well, it's Tayshia and JoJo is more than happy to fill in as the host. And we learn that there's going to be 2 one-on-one dates and a group date. And we learned that the first one-on-one date is going to be none other than Zach. And Zach is going to be revealing a very big secret during this one-on-one date. And that secret is that he's actually actor Giovanni Ribisi. Well, not actually. So he shows up in his high tops and runs and greets Tayshia. And we find out it's going to be a whole classic Bachelorette date. Oh, it's going to be the wedding shoot date where a guy in super short shorts helps them to feel super glamorous by making them dress up as though they were having a wedding. And it's a chance for them to explore their wedding-y feelings. So they put on a wedding dress, and Zach is part of some cleverly concealed ad for a company called My BLK Tux. And he comes out with this dinner jacket that's really too big for him. And that picture is kind of okay. But then they move on to like kind of weird goofball Backstreet Boy rock star outfits. And Zach actually chooses one that makes him look a lot like Tom Hanks as David S. Pumpkins. But anyway, miraculously, they get through this date and everything kind of goes pretty well. And then they have to have dinner together at La Quinta Inn and Resorts. Well, now it is time for Zach to actually reveal his big secret. And his big secret at first is that he has gotten married before. Well, we've seen this actually before. And Tayshia's like, well, I got married before too. So it's a total samesies moment. But now Zach has another secret he needs to reveal. This one's not as fun. In fact, he used to be a drug addict, and he used to party a lot, and he used to steal money from his dad's checkbook, and his dad had to bail him out of jail. These aren't really the best stories, but Tayshia is totally impressed, and somehow or other, Zach receives a rose for disclosing all this kind of unusual information. Well, if there's one part of the show that typically raises the intellectual level of the show to amazing heights, it's often the group date portion of the show, and this one is no exception. So first of all, we're wondering, Noah and Bennett, ooh, they hate each other. Will they be on the same group date? Well, yes, indeed they will. And what will they be doing? Well, when we walk onto the date, we see that there's some nude models making out. The question might be, is it a nude modeling date where all the guys have to get nude? Actually, no, it's not. All they have to do is draw the nude models. And for some reason during this, they put on blindfolds, And Bennett takes this as his opportunity to make out with Tayshia while blindfolded. Kind of surprised that he gets away with it because everybody's wearing a blindfold. Nobody really notices. And now it's time to move on to the clay sculpture portion of the date. And we have Noah making a pizza and Blake makes a penis that's blurred out. So that's kind of interesting. But then the real super serious portion of the date is the self-portrait portion of the date. And Ben is just real sad. He just doesn't know what he's going to do. He's got something he's got to tell Tayshia. We just sense that it's super, super deep, but we have to wait. Meanwhile, Brendan is making an empty picture frame that he holds up in front of his face and then like moves it to the side because Tayshia's supposed to be there next to him. Ivan has made a puzzle and it's got a missing piece. What's the missing piece? Well, it's Tayshia. Blake has done a project that involves turtle doves because he didn't have much growing up, and turtle doves mate for life. Riley's got some clouds made out of yarn. He also didn't have the super greatest life, but when he was young, he was dreaming about having a daughter and a wife, and this is supposed to be super touching. And then it's time for Super Sad Ben. Well, Super Sad Ben has glued some macaroni to a piece of canvas, and he's just about to reveal it when he says, wait a minute, I actually forgot something. And then he runs off, and everybody's like, where's he going? And he comes back, and he's got like a white bathrobe, and then he's like, Tayshia, this is all for you. And he drops the robe, and he's completely nude and covers his crotch, and he's like, I swear, Tayshia, I give you my all, I give you my everything. And you're kind of like super uncomfortable for him, but Tayshia's like, oh, Ben, that was so cute. So then, of course, we have the after party where everybody kind of pleads their case, and Tayshia actually cried about this, and she was super moved by it. And Ben actually finally reveals his secret that he was bulimic for 10 years. And again, it's a little bit of an unusual secret to reveal, but certainly a deeply painful thing. And we wonder who's going to get the rose. Is it going to be Bennett? Is it going to be Noah? Is it going to be Ivan? Is it going to be Blake? Is it going to be Riley? Well, actually, it's going to be the guy that got nude and revealed his bulimia. Yes, the group date rose goes to Ben. So now it's time for the next one-on-one date. We're treated to a little scene where Zach and Easy are kind of talking about one-on-one dates and how cool they are. And Easy's super confident. He's like, I hope I get the most romantic date ever. And Zach's like, well, yeah, man, I'm rooting for you, but I hope you don't get the most romantic date. Well, little do they know that it's actually going to be a super creepy haunted house date that Easy gets to go on. So Easy's walking to his date, and then Tayshia jumps out and scares him, and the whole thing is filmed with like night vision goggles. Well, did you know that the La Quinta Inn Resort is actually haunted? And yes, it turns out that they're reading like this old story that old Colonel McGillicuddy or something that used to run around the Inn Resort got his wife pregnant, and then like she died in childbirth or something like that. So it's super creepy. And they used to live, I guess, like in room 120 of the La Quinta Resort. So they like sneak into room 120, and it's super creepy. And then Fred and Daphne and Velma split up and let Shaggy and Scooby walk into room 120. No, actually, it's Tayshia and Easy, and they go in there, and there's like a creepy doll that's sitting on a chair, and they like freak out and run out of there. Well, then they're reading the story a little bit more and looking at the map, and it turns out, well, the tennis court is haunted too. So they go on the tennis court, and it's super scary, and they scream. Of course, they get to have a special dinner at La Quinta Inn Resorts. And as Easy is walking to the dinner, we kind of find out that he is straight falling in love with Tayshia. And we kind of have this reaction like, really, he's falling in love? Like, he's just had this date. They really haven't talked that much. Nobody else is really falling in love. And you just kind of have this bad feeling about it. Well, Tayshia shows up, and she looks super awesome in this really sultry green dress. And Easy is super impressed. So they sit down, and they're having dinner a little bit. And he's like, you know, Tayshia, when you know, you know. And she's like, yeah, you know, you were kind of acting funny during the haunted house date. You were acting even more scared than me. And he's like, well, yeah, you know, when you're in love, you know, you kind of do what the other person is doing. So I was kind of being scared because you were scared. And she's kind of like, so you kind of made it all up? And he's kind of like, yeah, I did, but he makes it sound cool. And then he's like, well, yeah, like I was saying, when you know, you know. And so I'm totally falling in love with you. And Tayshia's like, yeah. And she literally just says, yeah. And then she grabs the rose, and you kind of think maybe she's going to give it to him, but she's like, actually, I can't give you this rose. This guy literally just got done pouring his heart out and saying that he loves Tayshia, and Tayshia's like, actually, can I walk you out? And you hear the car start for the SUV that's going to haul him away, and they go and grab his luggage. And there he is riding in the SUV, and he's like, whoa, that was kind of weird. Haunted Colonel McGillicuddy date, and then dinner, and then I say I love you, and now I'm on my way home. And what episode of The Bachelorette this season would be complete without some Noah and Bennett drama? So that's how this episode ends as well. Noah and Bennett are having some drama, and it's time for Detective Jojo. That's right. This time it's Detective Jojo instead of Detective Tayshia. And Jojo comes in and is like, hey, Bennett, hey, Noah, I heard some things are going on, so tell me a little bit more about it. And Bennett's like, well, I'm really not sure what's going on. And Noah's like, yeah, I mean, there's kind of something going on, but not that much. And she's like, okay, well, I'll tell Tayshia about it, and she can address it with you later. So then Ed is like, well, you know, Bennett, he's so smart. I bet he's really got something up his sleeve that's going to be really smart and really funny. And you kind of see Bennett preparing this strange gift box with like blue tissue paper, and you see Noah getting ready, and you see Bennett walking out with his magical gift box. And then they're both sitting on separate sofas, kind of looking at each other. And we see, again, this gift box. And Noah's like, what's in the box? And Bennett's like, well, actually, it's a gift for you to symbolize our friendship. And he's like, hey, do you want to open it? That's how gifts usually work. And Noah's like, no, go ahead and tell me about it. So Bennett's like, okay, well, and he starts like taking out the tissue paper and is like, well, here's a red bandana to symbolize our friendship. And then he takes out like some socks that he washed, and they have mustaches on them. He's like, this is to symbolize your old mustache. And remember that you should only wear mustaches on your feet. And then finally, he unpacks this book about emotional intelligence. It's like this thin paperback book. And haven't we seen this emotional intelligence theme before? Anyway, he's like, the 4 elements of emotional intelligence are this and this and this and this. And Noah, you're deficient in 3 of the 4 elements, but I really think that you should get better. And kind of Noah's like, what? Is this really happening? And then Tayshia walks in and she's like, what's going on, you guys? And they're like, nothing. And there's like, nothing. And then Tayshia's like, really? Is this how you guys act all the time? You kind of acting like you're in high school. And Noah's kind of like, yeah, this is kind of how we act all the time. And then she sees the strange gift box on the table, and she's like, so what's in the box? And Bennett's like, and that's the super great cliffhanger ending. So who's going to go home? It's going to be Bennett. It's going to be Noah. We don't know, but we know for sure that it's going to be super dramatic. And I guess it's sadly the end of our Bennett and Noah drama, which has kind of been one of the most exciting parts of the season. But anyway, that's the episode of The Bachelorette. Hope you enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next brutally honest, sarcastic Bachelorette recap. Thanks for watching. I'll be your Mr. Right Girl.